All right, live on Facebook, just testing out a couple of things here real quick just to make certain that we are live and doesn't sound like we are talking into a bucket. Audio sounds good, so looking good on that. Everything is a lot quieter than what it was last night, that's for certain. We are continuing to see some fairly raw conditions for tonight, and that is going to be leading us to the potential of some wet roadways and maybe some delays out there. We don't have a lot going on where the rainfall is concerned. We'll have that coming up here in just a little bit. I'm Chief Meteorologist Austin Onick. This is Weather Overtime for Tuesday, the 9th of January. And again, for tonight, we do not have a great deal taking place. That's good news, but we've got a series of storm systems about ready to move on through the course of the next several days. So it looks to be active going into the middle part of January. Add to that, it looks to be a big cool down coming on through as we get into the course of next week. We'll talk about that coming up here in just a little while, so stay tuned for more on that. But for right now tonight, things are again decently quiet overall. Again, hoping it roughly stays that way. SATRAD is not showing a lot of changes. We do have, again, some moisture over parts of the area showing up into and around northwest parts of the viewing area. Northwest of Chattanooga, that blue color in between the green, that shows again snow coming down, and purple into northeastern Alabama. That color showing up there, showing a mixture of different precipitation types, with the temperatures just enough to get the frozen precipitation down to the ground, but also the possibility of some freezing rain in parts of the area. Again, it's very scattered. This is not a deluge. It's not as much rain as we got last night, but it shows that the temperatures are changing. That colder air is getting lower and lower. So we're seeing more chances of this precipitation changing over to a mixture, and that is going to be heading over into north central parts of Georgia. You've already had some light rainfall, but some heavier amounts of rain on the way here, and then also north of the Tennessee line, north of Georgia and Alabama, that's where we've got more potential of rainfall. So east of Chattanooga, Cleveland, Ottawa, Athens, back over toward areas closer to Knoxville and back to the west of the Great Smokies. That's where we're going to pick up even more potential of some of that rainfall. You can see, again, a pretty good amount of rain changing over to snow over parts of the Appalachians, and the Cumberland Plateau also getting that changeover for tonight. So I would expect the need for some very slow conditions, especially in the higher elevations. Mont Eagle, Dunlap, Pikeville, back up toward Crossville and Cookville. There's probably going to be some slick spots out there into the next several hours as we go into the next overnight period. That is where we could see the potential for some problems out there. Let me see if I can load this up really quickly. Current road conditions out across the area are mainly seen as green or wet. Monteagle north of South Pittsburgh, and again right along the spine of the Appalachians, that's where we're seeing some areas of rain mixed with snow, and some of that starting to show up in parts of Jackson County in Alabama. Not a lot, but there is still some of that out there. Let's take a look and see. I think this is updated for tonight. Air temperature, road temperatures right now, air temperatures are still well above freezing. Mont Eagle, you are back up to about 31 degrees, so temperatures are a little iffy in some spots. Most of the rest of the area in the upper 30s to lower 40s, so very well above freezing. Mont Eagle, you are just right above that, right about freezing. So that is where, if we get any reports of anything going very slick, it's in that Mountain Pass area going over toward Nashville or coming back down this direction. So that shows a pretty good temperature difference between Mont Eagle and South Pittsburgh, and that gives you an idea as to just how different the temperature is at a certain amount in some locations. So the number of possible problems out there is mainly, objectively, we're seeing again the rainfall potential out there, the worst part of it all. But back into western North Carolina, east of Johnson City, that's where we're also seeing the potential of some slick spots out there getting a little bit worse over parts of the areas well east of the News 12 viewing area for right now. But overnight, that again could be a bit of a situation. So I would a little bit of extra time never hurt anybody. This is not the type of evening to go rushing around, just to be on the safe side. Allow for some extra time frame to get to where you're going, and into the next couple of days we should see conditions improve a little bit, but there still could be that potential of some slick spots into tomorrow morning. Wind gusts in the last hour, are still in the 30 to 40 mile per hour range, especially west of Chattanooga. So we are still seeing some choppy conditions out there. The good news at this time is that as of right now, we do still have the wind advisory in effect for northeast Alabama, all of southeast Tennessee, and western North Carolina. That'll be in effect until Wednesday morning at 1 a.m. If you're watching this later on into pre-dawn hours of Wednesday, it's a good possibility this will no longer be in effect, so something to think about, again, if you are traveling out there. We're also not seeing, and let me double check this here, yes, the high wind warning that was in effect for the area right along the Tennessee-North Carolina line, that has so far been canceled by the National Weather Service in Morristown. So the high wind warning is no longer in effect. The wind advisory for the rest of the area will be expiring into later on tonight. So it looks like things are calming down. We'll take a look at wind gust potential coming up here in just a little bit. Speckles of rain hitting the lens on the Bailey's Heating and Air camera from downtown. Not totally terrible, but when I was coming back to work from home, the roadways were damp to wet. So we do have, again, some problems for the travelers out there. This is the EPB Fiber Optics Weather Cam Network. If you'd like to see all these cameras, go to our website, wdef.com/weather. Rain a little bit more intense at 153 and 64. Lee Point, some pretty good amounts of fog hanging off in the distance. So we don't have a lot of good news where travelers are concerned for right now. From the News 12 studio camera, you can see in the lights that fog steam look right there. That's winds out of the southwest blowing the rain basically sideways. So winds in downtown easily around 20 to 30 miles per hour on the Patriot concrete camera for right now. Travel around 24 and 75 was a little dicey earlier today. Heading into that construction zone, that's where the slowdown is. Roadways, again, damp to wet, and in the water pond area right between CHI Memorial Stadium and the roadway, you can see some pretty good waves shaping up, so there is a decent amount of wind pushing on through there, and the airport just over on the other side of this camera, so we are getting some slowdowns here. If you're heading northbound 75 to go west on 24, you might want to think about an alternate route, or you might be sitting in that scrum for quite some time. Chattanooga Theater Center on the North Shore, speckles of rain on the camera lens on the Speedy's Total Car Care camera. Hardly able to see the Tennessee River surface from right here, but it's very fuzzy looking, so it looks like there's some pretty good amounts of wind downtown. The trees are decently in motion here, so we do have some in the way of some wind in the downtown river area. And the Asian Lantern Festival looks like we've got a delayed signal. So the Asian Lantern Festival, by the way, will be wrapping up in the next week or so. So if you haven't had a chance to get down there and see those amazing lights, which we've been showing you on the Chattanooga Zoo camera, please go down and take a look. Great opportunity to see a little bit more at that location. Let's switch over to Island Cove before we go back to everything on the normal side of things. And overcast skies showing up here. Traffic on Tennessee 58 at Hunter Road moving along pretty nicely, so not seeing too many slowdowns for now. It is well above freezing in the river valley, mid to upper 30s at the airport. Those winds still out of the southwest, so that's why we have not had that big drop in temperatures, because the winds heading in from warmer territory are helping to keep the temperatures up by just enough to keep it away from freezing. So good news there. And likewise, temperatures across much of the southeast United States are still above freezing. It's only close to freezing, below freezing, back towards Springfield in southwest Missouri. So the really cold air, higher elevations, yes, but not so much down toward the surface in some of the lower elevations of the river valleys out there. As this storm system makes its way through, we're going to continue to see, again, a decent amount of this moisture sticking around for tonight. We're not done with it, because a lot of this stuff coming in from well on up to our north and west. This is where the colder air is, and this is where it is heading. So some of this is going to change over to a rain-snow mixture. If it gets cold enough, and it looks like we may bottom out close to freezing in the Tennessee River Valley, Chattanooga and its environs, Athens down toward parts of Georgia and northeast Alabama, we might see some snowflakes mixed in with the rainfall as we go into later on this evening, especially toward dawn patrol tomorrow morning. Now, there are some schools that are still delayed by a couple of hours. Check your school's social media or their website and our crawl system on WDEF News 12 tonight at 11. We'll help you get updated on that. We also have updated information on our website, WDEF.com, to see if there are any closings taking place at this time. So definitely want to tune in and keep an eye on what's going on, and check out what's going on with the forecast tomorrow morning on the morning show starting at 5 a.m. Chip Chapman will have an update on your complete forecast coming up then. Again, wind gusts right now not really expected to be a problem as this storm system begins to clear the area. The bulk of anything involving winter weather is well on up into Canada and parts of New England. So this is sweeping away from us into the course of the next couple of days. The next storm system is on its way from up into parts of Canada. This one heading through by about Friday, kind of an Alberta clipper system. It moves across the country very quickly, so we'll be expecting this to show up around Friday, and this could be kicking up some pretty good amounts of maybe some stronger weather down to our south, but we're not seeing any severe weather potential for here, at least just yet. Running the numbers into the next couple of days, we'll see the chances of whatever precipitation we have tomorrow morning going away. So for the rest of Wednesday, it's going to be brisk. Temperatures just below normal, not an Arctic blast. By the time we get into Wednesday evening, we start to clear out a little bit more, so we'll be back toward frosty conditions by early Thursday morning, and then hopefully some more sunshine, and the approaching storm system from the west will bump our numbers up a bit by about early portions of around Thursday afternoon. Friday morning, the next cold front is on the way. This one will be making its way through, will intensify and zip on through here pretty quickly. Let me go back to where we should see this passing through again. Early Friday morning, could be some rain, some chilly conditions out there, mid-40s or so toward about mid-morning. Numbers should be back into the 50s by the time we hit Friday afternoon, but right as this system comes through, there's the potential of some showers, maybe a few thunderstorms if we get enough energy in the atmosphere, and then hopefully this thing kicks on out of here by Friday night. And there may be the potential again of some snow showers Friday evening into around Saturday morning. So that is going to be getting rid of that particular situation. That's storm system number 2. Number 1 is here tonight, leaving the area. This here is storm system number 2. Now let's jump ahead by a couple of days. We'll go back to the wind gust potential here in just a little bit, because that's something we are definitely going to want to have to watch. Now this is going to go fast forward until we hit next Monday. This is where we see again the next storm system. There's number 2, and then number 3 comes in as we go into next week. So for the holiday itself, we may be looking at the potential of the storm system approaching the area by about midnight on Monday, early Martin Luther King Jr. Day. And then by the time we get into around early Martin Luther King Jr. Day on Monday, temperatures may be just enough below freezing to allow for this brief passage of moisture to turn over to some form of a rain, snow, freezing rain, sleet combo. What we get and how much, first of all, this is about a week away, so that's a long time for things to fluctuate and change. So any forecast you get out there, whether it is from some local wishcaster social media that forecasts a major category 6.5 blizzard 300 hours out, I would take all of this and that forecast especially with a huge grain of salt, because a lot will change between now and then. This is a very limited amount of moisture, so I am not looking for a big dump of snow as of right now. More importantly, what I am looking for at this time is going to be, scoot this back, I have everything here kind of bulked up against each other, so it's kind of hard to see everything, of course. Well, would have to sorry about that. Got rid of the forecast for a second there. These keyboards have too many buttons on them. All right, so here's what we're thinking for right now. Again, some moisture coming on through. The high temperatures looks like they're going to be set somewhere around midnight by the time we get into around next Monday. And then look back this direction, and you see negative temperatures from Chicago down to about Oklahoma City. By early Monday morning, we've got temperatures below zero, and they stay below zero for the entire morning hour. So we may start off above freezing. As we go into the afternoon and evening, we are not going to be staying that way. Looks like temperatures will be falling throughout much of Monday, which means if you're going to be going out for any day of service for the Martin Luther King Jr. holiday, make certain you are bundled up and ready to go, again, with layers, gloves, hats, coats, scarves, whatever you're doing outdoors. If this holds true, you are going to need that drop in temperatures. Is going to make things very frigid, and I'm just betting there's going to be some pretty good winds with this. So, excuse me, something to think about on that for next week. Now, the temperature outlook again for right now from the Climate Prediction Center is showing a big drop in the numbers across a very wide swath. Some of this air is going to be coming straight down off of the polar surface. It's going to be that cold. We haven't seen this type of chill around here in quite some time. So this is going to have to be something we take a look at very carefully. Again, storm system number 2 coming through on Friday and Saturday, and then storm system number 3. This one by early Monday might have the potential of dropping some more snowfall, but right now I don't see a lot of that particular amount of snow coming through. Some, yes, not a lot into that area. Let's go forward several days and see what we've got going on. Into tonight, the wind gusts continue, maybe topping 40 miles per hour briefly, but they should be breezy but dropping tomorrow morning. And anybody who's going to school tomorrow, you'll see less wind in the afternoon coming home. We'll also see maybe a bit of a pickup in the winds on Thursday morning, just a bit, and then watch what happens as we go toward Friday. Back to the west of Chattanooga, we really start to pick the winds back up again, including, and I saw this earlier, there we go, some wind gusts could be looking at the potential of maybe close to the mid 50 mile per hour range as this system gets a little closer to us Friday morning into Friday afternoon. I would not be surprised at this time to see some more wind advisories coming on through as we go toward the end of the week. Now, this is just for the end of the week here. Into next week, we don't have that forecast. We're not going to stretch it out because we'll probably lose the data as we go into the weekend. But next Monday, I would guess whether or not we get this level of winds, a little too early to tell at this point, but I would guess that we could see some pretty raw conditions coming up as we go into Monday. So that could be a decently big problem coming up as we go into the next several days. So for tonight, keeping the cloud cover around and the breeze coming up. Friday, we see that chance of rain, maybe some snow taking place in parts of the higher elevations. Some accumulations might be cold enough for that, especially with numbers knocking off in the upper 20s early on Saturday. The weekend looks good, dry at least, and on the chilly side with numbers back in the lower to mid 40s as we get into and around next week. That's where the drop-off happens to where we get into Monday night and Tuesday. I think high temperatures might make the lower 40s as we go toward Monday early, pre-dawn hours, maybe. We might jump the numbers up to the lower 40s. That computer model run we just showed you showed that we're not going to get that high on the temperature, so this may be a very optimistic number coming up. Next couple of days after that, I think we're going to be looking at a big chill. And I'm talking about some of the temperature models that I saw. A couple of them were showing highs in the teens for next Tuesday and following. This right here is my interpretation from what I saw. The data is showing to me at this time a little bit closer to the upper 20s, below freezing, well below normal, which again is in the lower 50s. Looks like we should be seeing the temperatures, again, a bit of a problem for outdoor activities Monday. And again, there could be some of those showers out there changing over to some form of snow mix late Monday into early Tuesday, and then very chilled as we get into next Tuesday afternoon. numbers not much higher than the mid to upper 20s. And again, even that number is very highly optimistic. We could be seeing a downturn in the numbers according to at least a couple of the outliers. Out of a dozen computer models, 2 out of 12 basically were showing the potential of maybe a lot colder weather here. This is showing decently cold, but not quite as bad as the teens for highs. So I'm kind of choosing to take the high road on this forecast for right now. Whether or not that winds up that way, we're going to find out a lot in the next several days. So this definitely, you want to stay tuned to News 12 for more details on what's going on here. Again, let's take a look astronomical related, and hopefully a little bit on the warmer side by the time we get into this. The Barnard Astronomical Society will be holding their new telescope workshop January 20th. That's a Saturday, 3 to 6 p.m. at Outdoor Chattanooga, the Philip Grimes Center, 200 River Street. If you got a telescope as a holiday gift, if you've had a telescope stuck in the closet and you don't know how to use it because you didn't want to fiddle around with what the controls were all about on there, bring your telescope, bring your user manual, as much information as you can to this event, and the experts at Barnard Astronomical will help you figure out how to use it. Again, if you'd like to know more, you don't have to register, but if you'd like to know the details on this, head to the website at barnardastronomy.org. It's a great way to get involved in anything involving astronomy in the area. There's also a star party coming up here not too long in the future, so check out Barnard Astronomy website for more details on that and find out more about a great hobby about astronomy. You'll be able to take a look at a lot of great information there. Our Panaagua Auto Mall weather question of the day: the hottest planet in our solar system, and the winner with the most votes, 68%, was Venus. Also the correct answer. Jupiter has some hot spots, not the hottest place in the solar system. You would think Mercury is the hottest place, but because it's so dry and has no atmosphere to hold in the heat, it's actually not the hottest place. It's one of the hottest places, but not the hottest place. Venus, with its runaway greenhouse effect and all that churning sulfuric acid that is in the skies and the pressure that is 100 times greater than Earth, that holds in a ton of greenhouse heat from the sun. It's hot enough on the surface to melt lead, and if what I learned on Cosmos is true, really fascinating to think about, the air pressure at the surface is so great that lightning cannot make its way all the way down to the surface. It actually stops before it hits the ground. I've tried to look for explanations about that. If that's true, that's one of the more fascinating things that I've ever heard. We've got a unique question coming up for tomorrow. We'll post that at WDEF.com/vote now on our Panaagua Auto Mall weather question of the day. Go to WDEF.com/vote now, or you can go online, and when you see on screen, you can use that QR code with the camera on your phone to get some information about that there. Our weather picture of the day, there we go, thank you very much. Taking a look at a congregation of cardinals, so to speak, in the backyard. Thank you, Rita Lamb from Red Bank. A nice view there on our Langley Roofing weather window picture of the day. Again, nice to be able to see some of our feathered friends out there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 in the yard. Might be a 9th one back there in the bush someplace. But if you've got pictures, we'd love to see what you're seeing out there. Go ahead and email them in to us at pictures@wdef.com, or you can again post them to Facebook, X, or Instagram. Give us a location and a description. You can be anonymous if you want to, but just give us an idea as to what we're looking at so we can tell everybody else about what may be happening in your particular picture. So thank you very much for sending all of those along. We do appreciate that. Think that should do it for tonight. We have not much more. There's a lot less going on tonight than what there was last night at this time, so definitely some good news there. But we do still have several storm systems on the way in the next several days, so definitely a time to be weather aware, definitely a time to pay attention to what's going on with the weather, and we'll help you do that here at News 12. Stay tuned to our website at WDEF.com/weather, and of course Chip Chapman will have your forecast bright and early on Wednesday, peak of the week morning. Stay tuned for more details on our website, and please Keep an eye on the weather. Before you head out any place tomorrow morning, check the forecast and find out what's happening. Before we go too much farther, let me just throw this in here to put the details on, and hopefully this will translate over. There we go. I moved here from Memphis, give or take, almost 2 years ago. And around the area, the Tennessee Genealogical Society, they have the Genealogical Library over in Germantown, Tennessee, very close to the high school, and the horse parade grounds over there. The Tennessee Genealogical Society has asked me to give a presentation regarding weather, climate, and history. And if you'd like to take a look at this, this will be happening tomorrow or today, depending on when you're watching this, January 10th, 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m., give or take a few minutes. Again, Central Time, so I'll be joining them at about 11 o'clock on Wednesday morning here, Eastern Time. But if you'd like to take a look at what I've taken a look at here, what we see is the ability to go in and you can trace your routes using great websites out there and a lot of research going on. But when you're trying to find weather information, and I use my own grandfather as a resource on this to show what weather was like on his birthday back in 1899. The first member of my family to actually, on that side of the family, to be born in the United States. So if you'd like to know more about the weather situation, how you can get the weather details, and more importantly, going farther back, weather information gets kind of sparse. If you would like to help transcribe weather data, there's a great way, there's several ways in fact to do it. It's called citizen science. If you'd like to get involved with that, we'd love to be able to show more about that. And again, this will be the Tennessee Genealogical website, tngs.org. You can find information on my social media pages, but again, I'll be doing this tomorrow, Wednesday the 10th, 10 a.m. to 11:30 Central Time, 11 a.m. to 12:30 Eastern Time. You can register online. Again, you can find out more information about how to view this, and I believe there is a small fee to join up, but it's a paltry pittance to get information from TGS, which you are able to use their sources to find out a lot of information about your family, about other families, about all sorts of neat and interesting things. And my part of this is just to talk about what you can do to help increase the amount of digitized information from the web to various places to where people like you who are searching for details might be able to find them. And I'll bring that information to you again coming up tomorrow. You can find out again more information at tngs.org if you'd like to find out more information on that. All right, that being said, I think that should do it for tonight. Again, a lot quieter than it was last night at this time, but still frosty out there, and that is some cold rain coming down. So it's a good possibility that the rain we're experiencing right now was snow or ice just a few hundred feet above the ground. So we're looking at some cold, windy conditions for later on tonight. Again, going any place, a lot of extra time, a lot of space between you and the vehicle in front of you would not be a bad idea. I'm Chief Meteorologist Austin Onig. This has been Weather Overtime for Tuesday, the 9th of January. It is a cold, wet evening. I'd really recommend staying indoors with a cup of hot tea or cocoa, and looking a little bit better into the next couple of days, but then some more storm systems heading on through, and we'll keep you updated on that on air and, of course, online at wdef.com/weather. Thanks for joining us for Tuesday night. Stay tuned for more coming up a little later tonight on News 12 at 11, and, of course, Chip's forecast bright and early on Wednesday morning at 5 a.m. on air and online. Thanks for joining us tonight.